Hello human beings, Power Gamer here, conquering the world one game at a time, and ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be a dangerous, epic, bat-like warrior of the night, and I think I've finally found a way. Well, that didn't work. So I guess a bat-themed superhero was the next best thing.
Batman. We all know him. One of, if not the most beloved and iconic superhero ever. Along with Superman and Spider-Man, Batman has been one of the most beloved pop culture icons ever. Created in the 1930s, Batman has starred in almost every form of media. Comics, movies, TV shows, and of course, video games. Some are good, some are bad, and some are god-awful.
Well, I'm not really into comic books. I do have a decent amount of knowledge of Batman. I watched the 60s show with my brother when I was really little. I really enjoyed the 89 film. Dark Knight is one of my favorite movies ever, and the animated series is one of my favorite shows. Plus, I played a lot of Lego Batman as a kid, but we're not talking about this today. Instead, we're talking about one of the most popular Batman games, Arkham Asylum.
Batman Arkham Asylum was first announced in 2008 under the development of Rocksteady Studios, a subsidiary of Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment. The game was written by Paul Dini, who had previously written for both the Batman comics and the animated series. Both him and the development team decided the game should take place inside Arkham Asylum, a popular location from the Batman mythos where most of his enemies are held. Because of this, they decided the Joker should play a large role in the game's story. The game took inspiration from multiple Batman stories and included several aspects of the Batman mythos, to the point where they even got Kevin Conroy, Arlene Sorkin, and Mark Hamill, yes, that Mark Hamill, to reprise their roles from the animated series as Batman, Harley Quinn, and the Joker, respectively. After a development process that lasted around 21 months and had almost 20 extra developers come in as the project continued, the game was officially released on August 25th, 2009 for PS3, Xbox 360, and PC. And it even got a Mac version released in 2011. The game was a huge success, both critically and commercially. It sold nearly 2 million copies in its first 3 weeks, and it won several awards, including Game of the Year from various media outlets. The game later spawned a sequel, Arkham City, a prequel, Arkham Origins, another sequel, Arkham Knight, a VR spin-off, and even its own comic book series. The original game was also later remastered for PS4 and Xbox One in 2016.
This game has gotten a lot of praise over the years, so I think it's time I finally give it a shot. Is it really worth all the hype, or does it not hold up too well after 12 years? Well, let's give it a go.
The game opens with Batman bringing the Joker back to Arkham Asylum after one of his recent crimes. Joker is tied up and let in, but Batman decides to go with him and see if he's up to anything funny, since he thinks Joker gave himself up really quickly, and many of his henchmen have been transferred to the asylum after a prison fire. We also get this really long and drawn-out sequence where you just slowly walk forward as Joker banters with Batman and the guards. I'm not kidding, this goes on for a solid 10 minutes. It's kind of annoying. Sure enough, Batman's suspicion was correct, and with the help of Harley Quinn, Joker quickly escapes his restraints and releases all of the inmates from their cells, seizes control of the asylum, and captures both Warren Sharp and Police Commissioner Gordon. Batman immediately fights some of the inmates and remotely communicates with Oracle, aka Barbara Gordon, formerly known as Batgirl, and learns that Joker has set bombs around Gotham City and threatens to detonate them if anyone arrives on Arkham Island. With seemingly no other choice, Batman sets out to stop the Joker from doing whatever it is he's doing. Later on, we find out his plan is to infect the inmates with a special serum known as Titan. The Titan serum was created by Dr. Young, one of the asylum's doctors who thought she was creating a therapeutic medicine for her patients under a benefactor named Jack White. In reality, Jack White was an alias for the Joker, and the Titan serum is actually a more powerful version of Venom, the serum that gives the villain Bane his super strength. Joker's ultimate plan is to create an army of Titan minions and unleash them on Gotham to cause chaos.
So you have to stop Joker from creating his army, as well as take care of all the other inmates that are running through the asylum. Now that the story's given, let's talk about the gameplay.
The game itself has 2 main focuses, combat and stealth. You have 3 different basic attacks you can perform. Your main attack is a simple puncher kick, and it's the one you use the most. You also have a stun attack, which you can use to immobilize enemies for a brief moment. And finally, there's the counter attack. If you see this wavy thing appear above an enemy, it means they're about to hit you. But if you hit the button at just the right time, you can counterattack and you won't take damage. You can also dodge by tapping the run button twice. Enemies have a specific amount of health, but if you knock them to the ground, you can perform a takedown, which immediately knocks them out. It's a bit risky though, since you can't move while doing it, so you could easily get hit by other enemies. I love this game's combat. It feels awesome to get it down perfectly, and the sound of hitting an enemy is so freaking satisfying.
Let's do this.
Enemies mostly act the same, but you have to use certain strategies and attacks depending on the weapon they use. The ones without weapons, you just need to attack. The ones with melee weapons like pipes are simple when attacking them, but if they hit you, you become disoriented and your vision goes blurry. Enemies with knives have to be hit with a stun attack before you can damage them. And the worst enemies are the ones with these shock rods, since you have to dodge their attacks and then hit them. If you mess up the timing, you take damage, and you don't have much time to hit them after you dodge. There's also these lunatics which latch onto you, and you have to either counter them or shake them off before taking them out. And finally, there's the enemies with guns. They're by far the most dangerous ones because, well, they have guns. You don't run into them too much during combat sequences, but they're all over the place during the stealth sequences. Stealth sequences take place in large open rooms with enemies everywhere. You have to sneak through without being seen, and if you approach an enemy from behind, you can perform a stealth takedown which takes them out instantly. Just don't run up behind them, they'll notice you. You can escape fire by grappling onto these gargoyles and swinging between them, but you can easily lose a ton of health, so it's better to remain unseen as much as possible. They get a lot harder in later sections since the enemies have these collars that blast an alarm when you knock them out. So you have to immediately run as soon as you take one of them out. The stealth sections aren't my favorite, but they're still pretty enjoyable, and the stealth takedowns will never not be fun. Along with the Joker and Harley, you come across a lot of the various classic Batman villains: Poison Ivy, Bane, the Scarecrow, and Killer Croc. When you die, you get these little game over screens which feature one of the villains mocking you.
Bye-bye, Beth. Mwah!
And at the end of fear, oblivion.
The bat is broken!
They will enjoy feasting on your bones.
You're dead and buried, darling.
Gotta say, I thought you'd last longer.
Huh, that's what my last Tinder date said.
They're entertaining at first, but after a while they just get kinda old. And there's no good way to skip them, at least that I know of. So I just end up mashing buttons to get back to the game as fast as possible. When you're not fighting or sneaking, you're walking around Arkham solving various puzzles and exploring the area. Your main methods of traversal are by either using the bat grapple to reach higher areas, or by going through air vents which require button mashing to open. There's a lot of button mashing in this game, so get used to it. There's also a lot of optional collectibles you can find, most of them being set up by the Riddler. Early on in the game, you get a call from him and he tells you he has a bunch of stuff hidden around Arkham. There's these Riddler trophies which you have to find and collect, riddles that you have to solve by scanning certain objects, and these chattering teeth which are scattered all over the place. Collecting these will unlock character bios, which tell you more about various Batman characters, character trophies, which are these little 3D models of certain characters, and challenges in the challenge mode. These are just simple high-score-based challenges where you either have to complete a stealth section as fast as possible, or a combat section while getting high combos. You can also find audio recordings of interviews with the various inmates of Arkham Asylum, and these spider signs which give you a little audio recording from Arkham's founder.
But of course, it wouldn't be Batman without a plethora of bat gadgets at your disposal. After all, Batman's only superpower is the most powerful superpower ever. Money!
You have a variety of different gadgets to use along with the bat grapple. There's of course the Batarang, which can stun enemies, hit switches, and cut things down. There's the explosive gel, which lets you blow up weak walls. The bat claw, which lets you grab things from a distance, and later you get an upgrade that lets you knock down walls. There's also the cryptographic sequencer, which lets you activate these terminals to unlock security doors and disable traps. You have to rotate the joysticks to find the correct frequency, and it's pretty specific. Like, look here, I'm rotating them, but I can't find the exact spot. And now I'm dead. Great. Finally is the line shooter, which lets you shoot a wire, letting you across large gaps. But hands down, the most important gadget is Batman's detective vision. This lets you search the area by revealing secrets and showing you the location of enemies. You'll be spending all of the stealth sections entirely in detective mode, since it's nearly impossible to see enemies without it. It also outlines vents, shows breakable walls, and makes Riddler trophies more visible. Needless to say, you will be spending a lot of time in detective mode. For a PS3 game, the graphics are pretty good. It's a little dated, but I really enjoy this game's comic book art style. Except for Harley Quinn, her hair looks like it's made of plastic. The music is good, but I don't remember much of it. And do I even need to bring up the voice acting? It is absolutely amazing. Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill are the definitive versions of Batman and the Joker for a lot of people, and playing this game, it is not hard to see why.
We have an escaped patient. Dresses like a bat. Oh, what an idiot. Should be considered costumed and dangerous.
They carried on without him. Must have outlived his usefulness.
It's true. You really are the world's greatest detective. How did you do that, Bats?
Sadly, the performance of the game can be a little choppy. I counted a decent number of frame rate drops, and then there's this part where Batman's lips didn't move.
Follow her and find out where she put them.
But hands down, my biggest complaint with this game is that sometimes the gadget you have equipped just changes for no reason. You change gadgets by pressing a certain direction on the D-pad, but for some reason there are moments where it just changes randomly. Seriously, I am not pressing the D-pad. Why does it change? This is a big problem, because in intense situations, you need the right gadget equipped, and not having it can end up getting you killed. If anyone knows why this happens, please let me know. Pretty much making any sort of progress, whether it be fighting enemies or solving puzzles, gives you experience, and when you collect a certain amount, you can purchase an upgrade. These upgrades range from more health, stronger defense, new abilities to perform like an instant takedown or throwing enemies, and upgrades to your gadgets. Most just make certain gadgets more powerful, but you can also unlock 3 extra batarangs, a multi-shot, a remote control, and a sonic one that I didn't get.
That's pretty much all there is in terms of gameplay, so let's get back to the story.
After the Joker takes over the asylum, Batman discovers that security guard Frank Bowles is assisting him, so you have to use detective mode to track Frank down. There are a few moments like this where you scan a small area and then you have to follow a trail leading to someone. Once you reach the end of the trail, you find out Joker killed Frank. Hate it when that happens. So now you have to track down Harley by going to the island's medical facility. You save all the doctors that are being held captive, including Dr. Young, and then you make your way down to the morgue. In here you see Gordon is killed. Wow, harsh. So now you have to track down his killer, and in these bags you find...
Father.
You should have stood up to him, son. Like a man.
Mom?
Help us, Bruce. Don't let us die.
Turns out this is all just an illusion caused by Scarecrow's fear toxin. You then wind up at this side-scrolling section where you have to avoid Scarecrow's gaze and shine this light on him to wake up. So you manage to save Gordon from Harley, but Joker releases Bane and you have to fight him. This is a pretty fun boss, as you have to wait for him to charge and hit him in the head with a batarang. Once you empty a section from his health meter, you have to jump on him and rip out one of his tubes. That came out wrong. Do this 3 times and he goes down. Sadly, during the commotion, Harley escaped, so you go to a makeshift Batcave on the island, and with the help of Oracle, you discover the Joker's true plan. You head to Arkham Mansion, and after this sequence that took me way too long to figure out, you get inside and have to save all the hostages. Once you do, you play an annoying game of back and forth, and find the formula, which Batman destroys. Then you suddenly get a flashback to when Batman's parents were killed. Yeah, this is just Scarecrow again. Avoid his gaze and shine the light on him like last time. After that incident, you find Dr. Young being held by a psychopath named Victor Zsasz. 1 batarang to the face later, and she's safe. That is until an explosion kills her and Joker gains the Titan Serum.
Batman is not having a good night.
You scan the area and track Harley to the penitentiary where she releases Poison Ivy. After chasing her down some more, you have to fight an army of goons while avoiding the electrical floor. After that, you fight Harley. Or not.
Yeah, I don't know why you don't actually fight her. No.
After she's imprisoned, she lets it slip that the serum is being made in the botanical gardens. 1 trip there, and you get to see just how powerful the serum really is. You have to fight these guys similarly to Bane. Hit them with a batarang and then beat the crap out of them. Once they lose a section of health, you can then hop on them and use them to smack other enemies. It's hilarious. When you find Poison Ivy, she tells Batman he can make an antidote with spores found in Killer Croc's lair. You leave her alone, and Joker injects her with the serum, which causes giant roots to grow everywhere. And these pods start showing up all over the place, which shoot these orbs at you. Once you get to the sewer, you have to deal with Scarecrow again. You finally finish him off, and he gets eaten by Croc. Don't worry, he's fine. Now that that's settled, you have to find the spores while avoiding Killer Croc. You can't run, or else that happens. You do have to run later to avoid his smash attack. And if he does show up, hit him with a batarang and he falls into the water. Once you get enough spores, make your way back to the entrance and...
Yes, I can.
Then the game suddenly turns into Crash Bandicoot. So once you get to the exit, you have to take out Croc, and...
Well, that was anticlimactic.
So you bust out of the sewers and head back to the Batcave to make an antidote, but then Ivy's roots smash everything. You get back to the gardens and she grows this giant flower. You have to avoid these vines, dodge the orbs, and throw a batarang when she opens her shield. I don't know why she doesn't just leave it shut, but whatever, I don't judge other people's battle strategies. This fight is alright, but it goes on for too long, and you essentially have to beat her twice, which takes ages. You blow up the flower and use the antidote on her, which kills all of her plants. Now it's finally time to take out the Joker. After arriving at his
party,
he sends 2 Titans at you along with a bunch of other minions. Once you take them out, he tries to shoot a recaptured Gordon with the serum, but Batman takes the shot instead. He refuses to give in to the serum, so Joker injects himself with it and turns into...
Okay, that's just ridiculous.
Batman gives himself the antidote, and then you begin the final boss. You have to run from Joker's attacks, fight off the goons he sends at you, use the Batclaw to pull him down, and then punch him. You do this 3 times, and you win. It's not the worst final boss, but it's not that great. After that, Joker and all the other Titans return to normal, and the police arrive and lock everyone away. Batman talks with Gordon, but then gets an alert that Two-Face is robbing a bank, so he heads off to stop him. And that is the end of the game, aside from this post-credit scene where either Scarecrow, Bane, or Croc reaches out of the water and grabs a crate of the Titan Serum. It changes depending on how many collectibles you got. I got Bane.
Batman Arkham Asylum is awesome. I had a blast playing this game, and I highly recommend it if you're a Batman fan, and even if you aren't, since it's still a great game regardless. While it does have the occasional issue here and there, I still had a really great time playing it. It really makes you feel like you're Batman. Just don't take this as an inspiration to try and actually become Batman in real life. Last time I tried that, I woke up in some dude's basement.